Good morning, everybody. My computer says it's 11:29. You should be able to see a QR code, and I posted a link in chat. This PowerPoint is going to be presented live. So if you use a different device or open up the live presentation in a different tab, you will be able to see the captions as well. And I think this is pretty awesome. Translate it into a bunch of languages. I'll leave that up for a little bit, like a minute more. Okay. So you should now be able to see a whiteboard. If you can't see my face, you might need to minimize your window if you're using the Whova app.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and do that. And then if you click up at the top of your screen, you should have an annotate box. And you want to choose, yes, you want to annotate. And if you can find the text button, and just somewhere in the whiteboard, I want you to type out what it is that you do or why you're here, whether it's you're an SLP, a teacher, parent, paraprofessional, etc. And please let me know if you're not able to do that. Okay, all I see is my answer right now. Oh, now we have answers. Fabulous. Gonna wait another minute. I would love for more people to chime in. Oh, somebody found the draw tool. Oh, so sorry, my question was, what is it that you do? And somebody found the stamp tool. So we are using the annotation tools that are native in Zoom. Developmental pre-K, nice. Okay. Have a lot of teachers here. I'm really happy about that. If you want to get out of annotation, you do need to click on the mouse button so you don't keep drawing, but you're fine to keep drawing. Another pre-K teacher. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to clear this out. Now, if you can use the text or writing again, and let me know something you're excited about doing this weekend, whether it's sleeping in, having some great food, not going into work. Tell me something you're excited about for the weekend. I see a bunch of sleeping. Okay, so I want to show you another tool that's available in this annotation feature, and it's called the stamp tool. If you click on stamp, you get to pick a stamp. We don't have a lot of variety right here. But if you can go ahead and leave a stamp next to something that you're also excited about doing. Where's this stamp? You might have to go up to the top of your screen and find the annotation toolbar. And it says stamp on it. It's the fourth one from the left. I was amazed when I first saw this annotation feature. It was in a Tobii Dynavox training, or Boardmaker Online, rather. Oh, somebody has an arrow. I like that. A lot of my students are not literate yet, but I think that this is a great way to involve students. The annotation feature, if you're using the Whova app, you need to make sure you have it enlarged so you can see my picture. If you're on an iPad, I'm not sure, but it's okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear this annotation. And get going with my presentation. So, my name is Emily Broderick. My financial disclosures are that I received free admission to this conference by presenting. I have no additional financial information to disclose, rather. I'm not sure my screen is shared. Okay, here we go. This talk, we are going to discuss Zoom, my semester as a teacher, online resources, physical resources, and stuff I use to teach emergent literacy and emergent math. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I have been married for almost 2 years. I have one stepson who's a freshman in high school and one cat who you may or may not see. Before I started teaching, I got a bachelor's degree in religious anthropology and went straight back to my part-time job and ended up working with infants ages 12 to 24 months for 7 years. Then I was talking with some friends and I was like, hey, is it worth it for me to go back to school? And they were like, yes, go back to school. So I initially wanted to teach earth science to middle school and high schoolers. Found out a semester and a half in that my school does not offer that certification. And I changed my major to special education. The students I found fascinating. The material was very interesting. I did not have any training in grad school about assistive technology. We did have a computer online kind of class, but the material that we were using was significantly out of date. So it was stuff, for instance, message boards and very archaic features. I started teaching in January 2014 in Clarksville. I have only taught elementary kids with probably moderate to or severe to mild special needs. I've taught at 2 different elementary schools. I currently teach in Rutherford County. I've taught a wide variety of children, and I really find the ones with rare disorders extremely interesting. I love researching and learning about whatever diagnoses they have, and then trying to incorporate that into my teaching. And then 2020 happened. We were sent home a few weeks before spring break, and our COVID break was extended about a week at a time to 2 weeks at a time. I was so excited to teach virtually, and then found out that as an interventionist, I was not permitted to do any teaching online. So in my time, I took webinars. Most of the webinars that I did were from the Learning Hub at Toby Dynavox. PRC and AbleNet also have a bunch of YouTube videos, and We Speak Pod were who I mainly focused on. In July, I was all preparing to go back into the classroom with students. I found out after spending a lot of money on getting individual supplies that I was going to be teaching virtually. So I returned all that stuff to Target and focused on teaching virtually. Then families had the option to send their kids back to in-person learning in October. So I currently am a hybrid teacher. I have 5 students online at home and 4 students in my classroom. And I work with one of the most amazing paraprofessionals. I could not do this without her. This is just a picture of me gearing up for school. So in August, I sent supplies home. This set, I was inspired by Kindergarten Smorgasbord. You'll see mini erasers, counters, bingo daubers, scissors, crayons, glue, pencils. You can't see it in this picture, but I also sent home letter stamps and ink pads for my students who don't have the fine motor ability to write yet. I also sent visual schedules home. Just really believe one thing that I've learned is good teaching is good teaching. So I try to incorporate visuals. I wanted to make those available for families because they're one of my go-to things in my classroom. A little background as to what my district provided and required. We're a Microsoft school, so we can't use Google Classroom. We had to teach in Zoom in the classroom, so I was not permitted to teach from home. They purchased a school management system called Kiddom. I only had about half an hour of training. They were pretty excited about Kiddom and the resources that it includes. However, it starts at kindergarten. They didn't have anything before kindergarten, and they didn't have anything specifically geared towards special education, except that you can assign things to individual students. Our district also specified that we had to have disclosures and a contingency learning plan in place before teaching. And this process took a good month with 11 students. They also provided a News2You login. They made it possible for me to loan out some assistive technology materials, which were buttons, the lion that you hit a switch and it roars, and a power link I sent home to a student. I also loaned out task boxes and some individual work activities. The programs that they wanted us to use are Reading Mastery, Handwriting Without Tears, Lexia Core 5 Reading, iReady Math, and Equals Mathematics. Just a second. The resources that I found online, I initially invested a lot of money in Boom Learning and Seesaw. I don't use those very much. Boom Learning has a wide variety of cards available. They have a lot of core words activities available, which I think are awesome. Seesaw, you can upload a PDF and students can write on it. You can record video instructions. You can record audio instructions. Students can video themselves as a response. But it requires an app for mobile devices, and we didn't use that very much. Lesson Picks has been a real game changer because you can make games, and I will show you that in more detail in a little bit. Boardmaker Online and Tobii Dynavox have been, there's a spelling error, I beg your pardon. Boardmaker Online has been so important to how I've been able to teach online. I have about half of my students have a Tobii Dynavox, and through Boardmaker Online, I can assign all of my students' activities. They can all access it, whether it's from a computer with internet or if it's via their own device. And I use the Reading Avenue and Core First Learning daily. I sent home math manipulatives, handwriting without tears, manipulatives, and visual schedules. Currently, I have one kindergartner, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade learning from home. And they have a very broad scope of needs. Some other things that I found really helpful from Teachers Pay Teachers are Little Miss Kim's class, the Autism Helper, Core Calendar Club, and especially literacy. Most of these are available on Teachers Pay Teachers. So I am going to walk you through about a day because I think showing you how I do some of this stuff is going to be more useful than just talking at you about it. So I'm going to stop this screen share. Okay, so here is my screen. I have PowerPoint and Zoom. This Zoom toolbar, you can move. Whenever I turn on shared screen, it turns my video panel off, which I could probably fix in settings, but I haven't figured out how. So you can move your video panel. And you will give me a second. I'm going to flip my camera around so you can see my setup. I'm in my stepson's bedroom, so please excuse the mess. So I have two monitors. I have my laptop and a second monitor. I also have a document cam, water, having 2 cameras and 2 screens has been so incredibly helpful. When I only have 1 camera or 1 screen, it slows me down. You might have to enable screen snap, but one thing that you can do is basically divide up your screen, and that enables you to share two things. So you can have your modeling activity as well as your emulator. Okay, how are we doing? Any questions so far? Am I going too fast or anything? So, okay, one thing that made it too big. Let me go ahead and move this video to my second screen. One thing that I like to do is, instead of sharing my screen, I'm not sure you'll be able to see this. Let's try it. New share. If you have two monitors, it'll let you pick which monitor you want. If you're going to be sharing videos, you need to make sure that you have computer sound and optimized screen sharing enabled. I like to go in advanced and I pick a portion of the screen. So this will give you a little window. And if it's like right now it's green, which means people can see it, but if I move it, it turns yellow, and that means people can't see it. I'm going to move it over my PowerPoint. This, hang on a second. I need to open that in the app. Here we go. So once you open PowerPoint in the app, you have these options about presentation. I like the book one, the reading view. It's really clean. There's no added toolbars, and then I can also change the window size to whatever I need it to be. I learned pretty early on that it's not enough for me to say what the students are going to need. If I just say they need their circle time binder and don't reference it in our morning meeting, I don't know who has it and who doesn't. And since I went to the time of making circle time binders, I want them to use it. And it's available on Teachers Pay Teachers. So this has been really helpful. So for morning meeting, and I realize I'm gonna have to switch back to the web because I want to show you something else. So please bear with me. Okay. So a really fantastic add-on to PowerPoint is Pear Deck. And unfortunately, this will take me a little bit of time to set up, but it's worth it, I promise. There is a free Pear Deck and a paid Pear Deck. You can do way more stuff with the paid Pear Deck, so don't get too attached. It is about $150 a year. Haha, there it is, it's hiding. You will have to log in. And I have this set, so do not have student logins required. You can pick student-paced activity, which means that you could set this up as homework, or instructor-paced activity, which I'm going to choose instructor-paced activity. So I am going to drop this link in chat. And if you want to click on this link, you'll be able to participate in our very brief morning meeting. It says waiting for students. You may need to open this in a new tab. We have a chat. Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you, Paige. Now you should have it. Okay. Every Pear Deck, it's going to check in with you. I'm going to give people a few more minutes so more people can connect. Okay. All right, feel free to keep joining. Pardon me. So you should have circles. Can you move the circles? Like, I'm really asking. I don't know if you can or not. Oh, somebody's moving a circle. Fabulous. So here's another one where I want students to move circles. Really like these draggable slides. The draggable slides is a premium feature. I do not know if you can use this on an iPad. I think so, but I'm not sure. So on this page, you should be able to draw anywhere on the slide. I've used this with math. Oh, lovely tree. One thing I really struggled and tried to do was to make my lessons more interactive. In my classroom, my students who use switches can activate that easily, but if I'm behind a screen, a lot of that in-person stuff just doesn't translate very well. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize that the annotation stays. Okay, so that is all I'm going to share about Pear Deck. They do offer a pretty lengthy free trial, and will also let you still have a tree. That might have been in the Zoom annotation features. And if you need more time to decide if you want to keep Pear Deck, just email them and they extended my free trial by 15 days so I could share this with you guys. Okay, let's see. Next, reading. So for reading, I need to sign into Boardmaker Online. And under activities, no, students, my classroom view, I'm going to hide this so you can't see all of my students. I'm going to pull up an activity. And my computer is being slow. I'm probably trying to do too many things at one time. There we go. So again, with setting up your windows to snap, like that's not snap like Snapcore first, it's a window setting. So I have my modeling over here, my books over here, and any activities that I have either created or found. I love Reading Avenue because it has 3 different levels, from making choices and more. It automatically differentiates, that kind of thing. The topics are interesting. And like if I click on this day, it'll populate with a reading activity, and all of the reading activities are like have a guided question. And then 1 or 2 activities afterwards, which include scenes, like find words that rhyme with "and," or chart writing, etc. It doesn't want to load at all. I'm going to try. Oh, here we go. We have guided reading and stamp and write. So our guided reading is think about the many different vehicles you've read about. And we've been using this curriculum since August, so there are several vehicles that we've read about. This is
Which of these vehicles have you read about?
This is Avenue B, which is the middle one. I'm pretty sure this is an errorless.
Garbage truck. Police
option.
car. Fire truck.
Read book. You can have it read you the text.
Who goes to school?
And then on the talk button, there's words, vocabulary, and core.
Are you sure you want to exit?
Most of the activities in Reading Avenue are not performance tracking, but the quizzes are performance tracking. So I can go in, assign these to all of my students, and see how they do. It also tracks every time students log in. So I don't have to require screenshots or anything else because the software will let me know if they logged in. Oh, there's something. I also wanted to show you, you can make schedules in BoardMaker Online. And that scheduled piece has been pretty important because some of my students really love routines. For my year scope and sequence, I tried to match the BoardMaker Online activity or Reading Avenue activity with whatever science or social studies we're talking about. So right now, our Reading Avenue theme is transportation. And we are also using BoardMaker Online's science and social studies. Sorry, I said that wrong. The Autism Helpers Science and Social Studies, and which is on Teachers Pay Teachers, about transportation. The BoardMaker also has activities to go, which I'm also using for science. So for math, oh, did I just, so I apologize, I just closed the PowerPoint presentation. I'm gonna start that back. Sorry. I need to tell it to let everybody join. So if you want to get back in to the PowerPoint presentation, there is the, nope, not yet. There is the new link to see captions and translations if you need them. Okay, I need to get back to where it was. A lot of this has been juggling. Like, oh, that doesn't work right now. What else can we do? My classroom came with an equals mathematics kit, which was so intimidating that I left it alone for 2 years. But now I really love it. If you don't already have equals, it's like $2,000 for a new kit. So it's pretty cost prohibitive if you don't already have it. But I wanted to show you just a few things. AbleNet has put a lot of work into making equals mathematics really accessible to people learning from home or distance learners. One thing that I tend to use with about every class is this online lesson center where I can pull up warm up like, hey, our vocabulary is set. For Snap Plus Core, I didn't, the math list that it came with wasn't enough for what I needed. So I made my own math tab. And I'm going to move this toolbar over. So,
Thank you.
sorry about that. You'll notice that I have some buttons hidden. And that is mostly because I did not want to limit my students. Because if they're able, if they know something and don't have a word for it, don't have the ability to spell it out, I've just limited their vocabulary, and that's not okay with me. I'll see if I can show more in depth. Okay, so for instance, you can tell that I've hidden algebra, cosine, denominator, diameter. When we do fractions, I'm going to need denominator. I've hidden Roman numerals. I didn't just want to delete the words because we might need them. I did the same thing with shapes, where I hid words that we didn't need, like scalene triangle, isosceles triangle, heptagon. But there's a video about shapes, and it includes heptagon and other lesser known shapes. So I have some students, I have one in particular that's going to be getting a device hopefully soon. He's going to need the word heptagon because he knows it. Yeah, so I hid stuff like curl and curve because we don't use those words right now when talking about shapes. The other big math tool is if you go to your dashboard, there's a whole folder of math tools. Color dice spinner. So like my student who's using switch access and is still very emergent in communication can still roll a dice, just like she could if she was in my classroom. Okay, now we are going to talk about lesson picks. Which for a long time I was like, I don't know, I'm never going to use lesson picks. I already have Boardmaker Online and I like symbol sticks. And if I was going to do something else, it would be symbol sticks. But lesson picks is so worth it. One of the features that I love is you can add things to your tray and then click on Play Tools, which it's not cooperating with me. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to move that window. Thank you for bearing with me while I have these random technical difficulties. They will happen while you are teaching online. It just will. Like, for instance, one day my camera didn't work. It's like, how am I going to do this without a camera? So all of those tools that I had, I can choose from spinner, dice, draw cards. So let's do draw cards out of a hat. It looks like these are kind of in order. Nope, not in order. So my students can actually participate in drawing cards and identifying them. And we have used this for math. We have used this for literacy. We have used this, like, love to play games on Fridays. So making like a transportation bingo or a living, non-living draw card has been really fun. And I think that is the main way that I've used lesson picks. But it's really easy to set up. So if I'm ever, oh no, I have a class in 10 minutes, what am I going to do? Because as teachers, we always plan ahead and know what we're doing. I can go into lesson picks and I can pick numbers or shapes, build a tray, and then make a game out of it. You can also look for stuff by sound, which doesn't really apply to me, but it might be something that you really need. Okay. So as far as self-care goes, well, before we get into this, does anyone have any questions about anything that I've talked about so far? I can put together a list of the resources that I sent home, or what I based it on. I'm going to drop in the chat. Mine was a little different because I wanted my students, like my students who needed letter stamps, to have letter stamps. And I sent home task boxes. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with the really old white shoebox activities. I sent some of those home, and then I sent some other ones that myself and my paraprofessionals has made. One was a creamer bottle. I had my mom save her recycling for about a month. So it was a creamer bottle and mini erasers from Target. Just this really simple put in activity. And if you want more specifics sent home, I would be very happy. Please, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. Maybe. If there's any other questions you have. So going from a classroom with me, 2 paraprofessionals, 6 to 12 students, to me by myself, 11 students, 11 to 15 or so involved parents, was a huge learning curve. I anticipated having less materials to cut out and share, and I very much had more materials to cut out and share and laminate and Velcro, because instead of making one set, I was making 11. Most of the families were very quick to offer grace and understanding, which going into this, like, I don't think I got, well, yeah, half an hour of training from my district about how to use Kitem. And that wasn't really appropriate for my students. So everything else was kind of me just figuring it out, which is one reason I wanted to share, because maybe my learning will help somebody else. Trying to think. Yeah. So I was about to start self-care. I can also put together a Teachers Pay Teachers link of helpful materials. Oh, this is huge. In the beginning, I was creating a different link for every group that I had. So that was one morning meeting link for everybody, 3 different reading literacy, 4 different math links, and then 1 science social studies links. I got links wrong, parents got links wrong. It was very difficult. But if you go into Zooms under meetings, you have a personal room. And I'm not really sure the difference between a private and paid account, but I was able to customize my personal room link. So it's broderick.lle. Instead of parents having to transcribe multiple numbers over, I had some parents that couldn't follow links, so that was fun. I did a lot of tech support and joked, my husband does tech support for Vanderbilt, and I joked with him that I'd been promoted to tech support because of COVID-19. I want to show you really quickly. I had a document camera that came with my classroom, and here we go. I'm very, hi Kat, very sure that you would be able, like there's ideas online. My stepson's dirty laundry. Nice. Sorry about that. With a document camera, I'm able to model, whether it's shapes or counting, or we're going to move things when we count. 1, 2, 3. Or sometimes my high-tech stuff wouldn't work. And having the document camera, dry erase board, and dry erase marker was extremely, extremely helpful. I brought these little, I found them at the Target dollar spot, and we use them with the document camera to talk about the core word go. Had a race with our little men. This particular document camera moves. Okay. You're also going to need a computer. If you're doing Zoom, you're going to need a computer with a microphone and speakers and a web camera. I Web cameras run on Amazon from like $30 to $600. I do not know how much the one I'm currently using costs. I would guess about 30. You do not need a $200 webcam to do distance learning. You don't need a $200 document cam either. You can use your cell phone and set it up on a box to take pictures. Okay, Microsoft tips and tricks. Microsoft is free for teachers and students. It offers some pretty fantastic stuff. Microsoft Translator is an app that you can use and it will translate. And from what I've noticed, it translates pretty accurately. No, I do not speak a language other than English, but in my opinion, the languages that it translates, it does pretty well. So for instance, let me find my pictures. Sorry that this is taking me a while. Okay, so I wrote out announcements. And then was able to take a picture of them with Microsoft Translator, and it automatically translated it to Spanish. So for my 2 Spanish-speaking families, this was a huge help in how I communicated with them. So I could upload a picture. If I just posted a picture to my class story in Class Dojo, like there's no PDFs to download, stuff gets lost less in translation. Okay, so Immersive Reader also has a translation feature that I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of right now. But it has a translation feature and a read aloud feature. So not only can you translate, but you can also have it read in Spanish or a different language. They are limited to the languages that they do translate in, such as we have several Amharic speaking families at our school, and Amharic is not one of the languages that they translate yet. But Spanish, Arabic, they are like a lot of languages they do have. Okay, so we are gonna finish early, but this did take longer than the run through that I did, so that's something. Self-care has been a pretty big buzzword recently, but I think that for teaching students virtually, there are a few other aspects of it. If you're at home, one of the things I read was wear socks and shoes so you don't get cold feet. It may or may not apply to you. I don't know. At school, my classroom is kind of like I have a door to the outside and had to teach a lot of people, hey, police walk through my classroom at a level 0 voice. I initially set up my computer so I was facing a window, like right up against a window, which I was like, it'll be so great. I'll have natural sunshine on my face, which is perfect lighting. And then I left after work every day with a headache for a week. No, I think it was more like 2 weeks before I tried to move my desk. And my headache was because of the sunlight and the blue light. I have blue light filtering glasses. There are blue light filters that you can turn on most devices, my phone, my computer, and that just made everything easier on my eyes. It's not really a self-care thing, but I enlarged my mouse because I was having a hard time seeing it, whether it was like up on the projector in my classroom or my mouse was too small for me, so I figured it was likely too small for my students, so I made it bigger. I really make a concerted effort to not check my work email on the weekends. That may or may not work for you. Right now, I'm still going in for at least half a day on the weekends because my classroom completely or significantly changed in October. I have poor wrists. I love to knit, which unfortunately made all the typing that teaching virtually requires difficult. I've bought compression gloves for my wrists. Temperature control, layer. I have layers in my classroom, and I also bought a mini fan at the Target dollar spot, so I can switch that on or off as needed. If you have Microsoft, they offer a program called Insights, which basically will let you see how much work you did after hours. And I think particularly CDC, life skills, SSS teachers put in a lot of hours. And I really had to look at how much I was working because it was affecting my personal life, my relationship with my family. And I have scaled way back to, and one boundary that I have is I don't set my alarm before 5:30, which may sound kind of silly, but I know that there are teachers that get to my building before 5:30. And for me, it's not tenable because if I'm up at 5, I need to be in bed like by 8, and it just wore me out, basically. Okay, so that is, oh, one more slide. I think as teachers, stuff changes all the time, and teaching virtually has been even more change. My first teaching placement, I gained and lost half my class about every year. We were a very transient population, our school was. So it kind of got me used to change, but the other side to that is I really don't like change. I don't like moving my room around. I like getting in a routine where I know what I'm doing. My paraprofessionals know what I'm doing. Like, yes, we've read brown bear probably 40 times, and we're going to read it at least 40 more times, but we're going to stick with this book. I am very grateful that I had some families that really jumped on the modeling and AAC bandwagon. It's very different sending a handout home with, hey, our core word of the week is in, so practice these word activities, and doing a Zoom session where I'm modeling, they're modeling, we're putting things in a box. I think modeling got less scary to most of my parents. The other thing that, or I should say a additional thing that was really helpful is that I had my families share their users and core words with me. So I was able to make changes and add, like their devices don't come into my classroom like they used to. So I could change things and still push that out to them, or like add books. I could, I'll get there. I still did it wrong. So even modeling like, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing.
Elderly school.
Like our school is set up in houses, and I could add all of our houses and share those with students. And I could add callbacks where like mac and cheese.
Everybody freeze.
And all of my students could then participate with that callback. And that was a lot of fun. Okay. I'm going to hang out in the meeting room for a while in case anyone has any additional questions. But other than that, I am finished. Please feel free to stick around, or if you need to leave, you're welcome to take off. I apologize for finishing so early, but thank you all so much for being here. And I'm a teacher. I'm like you, I'm in the trenches every day. So if I can do it, you can do it. You've got this. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask a question or drop questions in chat. Thank you. I really just embraced AAC and teaching virtually, and almost like fell in love sounds too strong, but somehow it just really fills my bucket. And yeah, please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions. Clarksville, I live in Antioch now. I do not want to commute back to Clarksville. But I did consider it when my county was like, hey, we're going back to school in August. We have a lot of people hanging out. So I am going to do a little bit of modeling. Okay, I'm going to talk about creating an activity in BoardMaker. But sorry, I feel like I've been like, goodbye, hello, goodbye, hello. It wasn't intentional. But this is when we do chart or predictive chart writing. On Thursdays, I make a book. And there's so many templates. That's not what I wanted to do. I don't know why this is defaulting to everything like not in my viewable window. I'm gonna close some of the windows and see if that helps. But not my PowerPoint presentation again. That was not a good thing to close. Okay. This will be really quick. And then I will sign off. BoardMaker 7 is coming out soon, and I am very excited about that. So have contingency plans when you're teaching online, because awkward pauses like this are going to happen when you are teaching online. So you can change the color. Here you can see your different pages. Well, I'm assuming most everybody's familiar with BoardMaker, but when you go to choose a symbol, like I could then have my student pick, all right, which basketball do you want to use for your sentence? I like basketball. And just giving them that choice was really helpful, because I don't know if you can see this Zoom toolbar, but you can give remote control to people. So I could give one of my students remote control, and then they could pick a picture. Okay. So for real this time, that's all I have. My contact stuff is in the Whova app. Posted my email here. Hope you all have a fabulous weekend. It looks like the weather's going to be really awesome here in Middle Tennessee, so hopefully we can get outside and enjoy some of it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Emily.
Yes, thank you.
Have a great weekend too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.